Hello, good morning. My name is Stephen N.T. And this morning, Gridco Energy Transmission Company, Gridco, announces a load management program and is advising consumers to conserve energy. Also, the Bank of Ghana hits very hard at foreign account holders. We'll talk to you about that. Also, on Joynews Desk this morning, we will examine proposals by the Agric Minister to privatize the National Buffer Stock Management. The question is, what are the implications of such a decision on Ghana's food security? My name is Stephen N.T. and this is News Desk. Ghana Grid Company Limited, Gridco, has announced a load management program because of challenges with power supply. This would result in limited power supply to consumers during peak times, that is between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. daily. This would result in, according to head of public relations at Gridco, Albert Queno, the current challenges have been compounded by an ongoing repair works of generators in the power system. He told consumers to switch off their appliances when they're not in use, especially mobile phones and CD players. He spoke to Bright Nanamfo on today's big story.
The non-availability of some generators in the power system has resulted in the occasional curtailment of power across the country. We have not announced a load shedding program, but as and when there was a need, because of the tight situation we have in terms of demand and supply, anytime there was a fault on the available generators, then we've had to request the ECG to shed some little load to keep the whole transmission system intact.
So if that is the case, then why do you say this is not load shedding?
Load shedding plan a sustained management of available generation is advertised so that everybody will know when and where. But a few challenges from the generators on occasional basis, and that's why once in a while we go out. If we can foretell that in the next 2 weeks this generator will not be available, there will be no fault on this generator or that generator, will be in a position to advertise that. Basically, we would want consumers to switch off electrical appliances that they are not using. One good example is, for most of the time, between 7:30 8 o'clock, we've all finished supper. You don't need anything in the freezer till the following morning. You can switch it off till the following morning. Another area where we have high consumption is the chargers we use for our mobile phones. For most of the time, they are switched on the wall, but they are not charging any phone. We have TVs that are switched off by remote control, but yet the power is on. We can switch this off on the walls and save a lot of finish.
Well, the Director of Policy and Research at the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Peter Ahewu, also had a take on the announcement by Gridco.
It's not disturbing, and I'm not surprised because we have envisaged this it should happen, and it's happening. Don't forget, as I continuously state, the cycle of the Kosovo Dam is about every 4 or 5 years. And that expectation is that the water level will be coming down quite, soon. If that happens, we'll go further down the problem that we are experiencing now. So the solution, as I've stated earlier on, is that we need that excessive reserves in a margin of 20%. It could be a spinning reserve or it could be a quick start reserve to make up for some of these differences. As a country, how do we have that done? We need to create the framework for independent power producers to come in. They only come if the regulatory framework are okay, and you and I, we are much willing to pay a realistic price of power.
And the revised rules governing the operations of foreign exchange and foreign currency accounts in a country have fully taken off. According to the Bank of Ghana, the revised rules are intended to streamline the operations of foreign exchange and foreign currency accounts and bring about clarity and transparency in their operations, as well as ensure compliance with the Bank of Ghana notices number BGGOV CES CEC 2012/12. The new revised rules require all transfers outside Ghana from foreign exchange accounts and foreign currency accounts to be supported by relevant documentation. Well, for those looking to get a loan in a foreign currency, they would have to halt that move, as henceforth no bank will be allowed to grant a foreign currency dominated loan or foreign currency linked facility to a customer who is not a foreign exchange earner. And the TUC boss, Kofi Asamoah, is on the back of this calling for a wage increment for workers. Well, I beg your pardon. We're trying to get the soundbite for Kofi Asamoah, the TUC boss, who, on the back of these measures by the central bank, is calling for wage increment for workers. We apologize for the interruption. So, on the back of concerns raised by the TUC, the boss, Kofi Asamoah, is saying that the measures put in place by the Bank of Ghana warrants that salaries of workers should be increased. Let's take a listen at what Kofi Asamoah had to say.
It doesn't need anybody to tell you that with the city declining on a daily basis, the domestic prices of imports keep rising, and these have adverse implications for the living conditions of workers whose salaries are fixed throughout the year. And it's not just imported items that experience increases. Landlords adjust their rents to be able to cope. Lorry fares continue their upward trend. And in general, Ghanaians are facing difficult times. Over the years, we have talked about the fundamental problem with the economic policy we are pursuing over 30 years. And that analysis is based on our assessment of the economy, not now, but over 30 years now. That kind of policy framework has been going on. Neoliberal policies where we've liberalized the entire economy, opening our doors, everything coming in, our local industries dying. In the situation we find ourselves, with the increases all over, taxes here and there, increases here and there, VAT introduction or further increase in VAT, there is no way we can talk about freeze in salaries. There is no way we can talk about. We've already informed government of our opposition to a salary freeze in the midst of all these economic hardships and challenges.
Now, the Food Sovereignty Ghana says that it is dismayed by news that the Agricultural Minister Clement Kofi Homado has announced plans by government to privatize the National Food and Buffer Stock Company. According to the news, the minister offered the following explanations, and he said that in an exclusive interview, the minister said government has no money to pump into the company, explaining that legislative processes are underway to have private investors take over the company. The minister believes that it is the surest way to arrest the financial predicament of the company. But, well, the Food Sovereignty Ghana does not believe so. And I'm joined in the studio now by Duke Tago, who is a deputy chairperson of the group. Your group is a pressure group, or I should call it civil society
It's
group,
a mass movement of farmers and civil society organizations. Everybody is involved.
It's a jack of every trade, right? Right. So, I mean, tell me, your concern is that if the government makes a decision to privatize a buffer stock company, it is bad. Why? Yes. Why do you argue so? I mean, what are your reasons?
Firstly, this move is not in the interest of farmers.
Why so? I mean, I'm curious because the buffer stock company, by its establishment, is supposed to act as a buffer stock, like its name suggests, buy off all produce from farmers during the lean season and then sell it back so that we will be food sufficient, really.
Yes, but when you sell the company, that objective no longer stands because the private man who is buying the company will have a different aim of wanting to use the company for his own reasons. First and foremost, we are going to subject our farmers and the produce of their hard work to gamblers who are then going to decide how much this produce should be sold. As it stands now, we are giving them...
it's not fair to call private investors who would like to buy the buffer stock company as gamblers, really. They will be business-minded people who possibly might want to inject capital
when you are putting the produce of farmers onto the commodity exchange for whatever reason, you are going to encourage speculation. And when speculation comes in, the farmers are going to be meted with unfair trade practices, which will not ensure that they get the needed revenue from their hard work. And these are the issues we are raising. You know, as it stands now, the company guarantees farmers a certain income. You understand? It's supposed to mop up excess food that is produced by farmers. You understand? And also to address the problems of post-harvest losses. If you do this, how can you privatize the company and expect that these aims will still be met? We don't believe that the privatization or the sale of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company is the best way to go. And of course, if the minister claims that there is no money and that informs their decision to sell this, we disagree with that position. Because why? Not long ago, we were able to find money to increase the salary of our ministers, of the head of state, and also of parliamentarians. We are able to find money to send supporters in their thousands to different countries across the world to go support football. We must find the money to keep this company running as a state-owned company.
Right,
it is very important.
Duke, I'll have you hold briefly, and we do not want to put the minister out of context. So let's go back and listen to exactly what the minister said on this situation, and then we'll come back to the studio for the discussion.
The National Food and Buffer Stock Company's mandate is basically to buy farm produce from farm gates as ready markets for farmers and to also store up food for emergency purposes. But the organization has recently decried its 15 million cedi seed capital with which it has operated since 2010.
We lack warehousing, silos that were handed over, and the drying sites that are needed for grain management and conditioning are in a woeful state. Okay? Most of the warehouses are run down and need to be rehabilitated.
They are expecting a major capital injection from government.
We're supposed to be making profits, but it is quite marginal. We are there to help in disaster management. We are there to help in relief operations with our stocks. I mean, if as a nation we are really serious about having a working and food reserve agency, then I don't think this is the way to go about it. I'll say that under the circumstances we are doing our best, but we could do better if we are better resourced financially.
The Agric Minister, Clement Humado, says that will not happen.
We as government don't have any more money to give NAFCO. Either they open up for private participation and capital injection, or they participate in the the commodity exchange, or both. We hope that by early next year, we should be able to establish the commodity exchange. And that will take care of most of the problems we are having now, because NAFCO will become one of the license buying agencies. We will also accredit other license buying agencies to be mopping up grains from the rural areas. if NAFCO, for example, opens itself up, that they want to be part of the commodity exchange, and they need private sector participation, I tell you, people will put their money there.
Under the new commodity exchange system, which Ghana seeks to copy from Ethiopia, representatives of both farmers and buyers will negotiate prices, make payment and take delivery of the produce.
Yeah. And as soon as the deals are concluded, the buyers put the money down and the sellers make an offer and it goes. So you don't have grains stuck in warehouses for a long time. It's moving, and as soon as it's moving, others are replacing it. So
Government believes this will resolve the financial predicament of the buffer stock company. Currently, the buffer stock company has no budgetary allocation. Gifty Andwapea, Joynews, Acquah.
Well, so Duke, let's come back to you. You heard the minister in context. Yes. I gathered that he was making the suggestion that the buffer stock company will be opened up for investment, not necessarily selling, really. Do you have fears about that too? Opening up for private investors who would put their money in so the buffer stock management company can function efficiently, it can get all the warehouses it doesn't have, and make it perhaps function more efficiently than it is now?
We have seen many examples of these attempts at the sale of very important strategic national assets. And this attempted sale of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company will not be any different from all of the other ones, like the sale of Ghana Telecom to Vodafone, the sale of all the other companies we have seen in this country. And you see, the idea of conserving food for emergency measures was a very, very, a prudent one that was clearly thought out, because we can't control all the natural accidents that occur from time to time.
But yeah, but I mean,
if there's an earthquake today.
But rightly so, that's the reason why it needs more investment. And you are saying government should find the money. It's not always easy to find money.
You see, we have found money to do many things in this country, especially when it comes to the very people who lead this country. When it comes to our policymakers, they are able to find money to do all manner of things. As we speak, we are subsidizing gold mining companies in terms of their energy requirements in billions of Ghana cedi. As we speak, we are subsidizing private companies who are not even paying the ECG. If we were to pay these monies, there wouldn't have been the need for this increment in utility prices.
I do not know of subsidies for private companies for electricity consumption.
I'm telling you, it is happening. Go and find out. You understand? So we are able to find money to do all of this. When it comes to the Ghanaian people, when it comes to our own farmers, we say there is no money. This is completely unfair. It's unwarranted and must not be allowed to happen.
You feel that? Yeah, sorry, go.
The establishment of the National Buffer Stock Company was listed in the Green Book and in the manifesto of the National Democratic Congress as an achievement. Any attempt to sell this company will only send a signal to Ghanaians out there that the John Mahama-led administration has failed.
Are you a member?
And it is failing the Ghanaian farmers.
Are you a member of the NDC for which you are aggrieved that they're attempting to downgrade something that they cited as an achievement in their party manifesto?
I'm a Ghanaian, and Ghanaians voted for the NDC in the majority so that they take over the affairs of the states, steer the country to ensure that we are able to have some sustenance, we are able to have some comfort in our lives. We are able to ensure that our farmers are supported. We are able to ensure that the Ghanaian people are given basic amenities to ensure that they can go around their daily duties without, all of these challenges that we are facing. If today the government that was elected is not meeting the obligations of Ghanaian farmers, then I think it amounts to a failure. I don't have to be an NDC. I don't have to be an MPP. I don't have to be a CPP before we criticize government policy. And this is what must be the norm. This attempt at always trying to label before we take any stance on any issue is what has led to Ghana and the state we find ourselves. Yeah. That is an unfortunate development, might not be allowed to happen. Any attempt to sell this company, look, when they say privatization, what does it mean? Private investment. All of the other companies which have been sold, the 400, and which has led to the massive job losses of our country. face similar fates. All of them, just as we treated any one of them, mention them in their numbers. It is the same problem going to be faced by this company. And we are very confident that the Ghanaian people, given the critical role that this company is playing in the lives of our Ghanaian farmers, will even wish to even pay more taxes to ensure that the company is being made to run by the state. We are going to oppose in the most stronger terms any attempt to sell this company. It is completely unwarranted, and we must oppose it.
Thank you, Duke. You also said that this attempt will create a whole new class of profiteering middlemen and gamblers to suck investment out of agriculture. I want to ask you a simple question before we wrap. You feel that agriculture has been denied the relevant investment? I mean, I can tell from the statement you've just made. How do you think that government can direct its policies so that agriculture will receive the necessary investment? Let's talk solutions.
You see, it's important that we identify some of the reasons why government is not able to do things to inure to the benefit of the Ghanaian people. First and foremost, the overbearing influence of the World Bank and the IMF is becoming too much. We have to listen to the Ghanaian people and not all of these agri experts in the World Bank who are determining government policy. It is completely unfair. We voted for the government. They take our taxes and we expect them to do things that will benefit us and not the World Bank and the IMF.
You haven't specified a particular investment. I'm listening. I want you to tell me what you feel from the standpoint of your civil society group, Food Sovereignty. What do you think government should do to direct investment into agriculture?
As of now, we have so much natural resources. If when expended, when we take very good care of, we'll be able to raise the needed revenue to ensure that we support our farmers, we support our energy sector, we support education, we support construction. There are critical, important resources which we must harness to our benefit. What is our stake in our gold industry? What is our stake in all of the other minerals that are being exploited in this country? We sit by why Anglo-Gold Ashanti, why Newmont, why Anadako. These people are taking over our resources, bringing them so much billions of dollars, whilst we, the owners of these resources, have nothing. These arrangements must change. Can you imagine how much money Ghana will make if we decide to set up a gold mining company to also dig gold and sell on the international market to bring in revenue? Can you imagine what money we will make if we decide that the GNPC will be capacitated to also find more wells, drill them directly, so that we also sell and make money, and even sell the fuel a little cheaper to Ghanaian people? These are interventions that the state can take if we stop listening to the World Bank and the IMF. Their policies over the past 20 years have not helped our country, and the suffering is becoming too much. Ghanaian farmers are going to suffer as a result of the sale of the National Stock and Buffer Company, and we must avoid that. This must not be allowed to happen.
But I mean,
what will happen in the case where there's an emergency and we have to supply food to a particular area of our country? If all we are doing is to just produce the food and sell and not conserve some, what will be the consequences when times like this happen?
But your suggestions are leading to the same old state-owned enterprises kind of systems we had in the past before privatization took over and many of the state industries became privatized. I mean, privatization is not necessarily bad for a country, is it?
Yeah, I'm surprised we can argue that way, given the evidence before us at this moment. We have privatized everything of national significance. Everything has been privatized. And as we do this, unemployment is rising. As we do this, the cedi is falling. As we do this, we can't find the needed revenue to invest in key infrastructure projects which are needed for national development. And we are still doing the same thing. Shouldn't something alert us the need for us to sit down and find out what we are doing wrong about these policies?
Your view is that privatization has failed.
It has failed and it is continuing to fail. What we need is direct state intervention. Direct state intervention which would inure to the benefit of the Ghanaian people and the critical masses of our farmers who are in need of their resources. If we do this, Ghana will stand on its feet again. Why have we tried this over the past 30 years? And yes, the results we are having now is nothing to write home about.
Let's take a back step from this buffer stock management issue, and let's look at agriculture in general.
Yeah.
I mean, we are mainly an agrarian economy. Majority of our people are employed in agricultural sector. The question I wanted you to tell me is that what kinds of investments are needed in order to raise the level of agriculture in this country? We're not even talking about food security, because if our basic agricultural produce are getting rotten in the farm and they're not coming to the marketplaces, we're nowhere near to food security. So what kinds of investments do you think are needed to drive agriculture to that level where we will say that agric as an industry is sustainable?
When you were playing the recorded interview with the gentleman from the National Food and Buffer Stock Company, he says that what they need are silos to keep the food they are buying from the farmers. You understand? If you go to any farm and talk to the Ghanaian farmers who are producing the majority of the food we consume in our country, what are their worries? Number one, they need irrigated farming systems. We have to give them these systems and they'll be able to produce more food for us. They need mechanized farming. And we are very confident that if government opens up, there will be many, opportunities to help our farmers in this direction. Government must open up. Government must identify ways of trying to help our farmers in their predicaments by ensuring that it participates in the work they are doing. We can't just sit down and say that, look, go and find your own means of producing the food you need, and then we will only ensure that we buy your food. Or no, this must start from the top. It must be an executive decision that government is intervening directly to help our farmers cultivate the food we need to eat in this country, help them process the food they are cultivating, and also help them find markets. And that was why we set up this company, the National Food and Buffer Stock Company, to mop up excess food that was being produced.
You support the whole idea. You think the whole idea of the Buffer Stock Management Company is a good one.
Exactly.
But you don't support that it has to open up for investment, private investment. Why are you so cagey about private investment into the Buffer Stock Management Company?
It is about selling the company. Once you sell the company, it is not going to meet the objectives it has set for itself as of now. You understand? If you listen to the minister,
there are no indications. He didn't say that selling. He said opening up for investment.
Privatization means selling. You understand? If I'm bringing my money to come and take a particular share in the company, I'm buying that particular share is for me. You can understand. If I take 80% share in the Buffer Stock Company, I own I decide how the company must run. You don't take 20% share or 10% share and tell me that let's keep the food or let's do whatever for emergency sake. If I decide that any food which is produced must be sold immediately, we shouldn't reserve some. If there's an emergency, we'll have nothing to do in trying to solve them. What happens in that situation? So the idea of privatizing this company is going to bring untold hardship to the Ghanaian people. Let's not forget, in 2008, when there was increment in the price of grain on the international market, those shocks were not felt here in Ghana. Why? Because we had put in place contingency measures to ensure that we could supply food to the local market, people could buy them, and there wouldn't be any starvation or any short of food. That is what this company is meant to do. Once you divest it, once you take it off the table, now Ghanaians are left without any support and will not be able to avoid such shocks if they should happen again. You understand? So this is what we are saying. The government of Ghana must participate directly in the work of our farmers. They must show interest in what they must do to ensure that they are giving the needed support. And that is why the Buffer Stock Company was set up. It is doing very well, marvelous. We believe that we must find the money. And even if you have to pay taxes to ensure that this thing is made to run as state-owned, let's do it. I'm willing to pay taxes towards this. I'm sure you are also willing to do that because of the essential services that this company is providing to the Ghanaian people. Let us come together and help this company to stand. Let us not sell this company. It is going to wreak havoc on our country.
You sound very emotionally charged about this. What else do you want government to do for agriculture? Is it because you're staring at youth unemployment to such an extent that you feel angry that agriculture, which is supposed to be the mainstay of our economy, is not being used to address this problem? What is making you so emotionally charged about this?
You see, all around the world, agriculture has played a prominent role in the lives of people. In fact, agriculture has led to the sustainability of humanity. Everywhere agriculture has been toyed with, there has been hunger, there has been civil war, and there has been economic hardships. If you joke with agriculture, your city is going to fall, because the more you stop producing the food you need and you import them from outside, the more you are going to need foreign currency in dollars to import this food, and the more you put pressure on the Ghanaian currency, the Ghana cedi. So agriculture has a direct effect in every aspect of our national life. If you don't eat food, I'm not very sure you're very strong to come and sit on set and present a very wonderful news to our people. Everybody needs food to survive, and that is why food must not be treated like any commodity, like a shoe or like any other thing. Food is very, very crucial, and government must take an interest in how food is produced in our country. In fact, this is a national security matter, and it's important that our security apparatus stands up and also help the National Buffer Stock Company to find the money it needs to run.
How is it going to do that?
Well, by encouraging government to look into its coffers to find this money to sponsor them, and also by encouraging the Agric Ministry to find innovative means of funding this company than just selling them out like that. It is becoming too much, and the more we do this, the more unemployment is coming, the more our city is falling, and the more that the Ghanaian people are being allowed to be strangled by the consequences of our actions. And the time has come for the government of President John Dramani Mahama to take a holistic look at all of this. The more we hand over our resources to the private sector, the more our people are suffering. And it's important that there is some state intervention. Of course, there are areas where the private sector can also play a role. But some critical areas like agriculture must have government participation. Government must have a stake on what goes in there. We shouldn't leave it just like that for anybody to just come and take it.
Right, Duke Tego is Deputy Chairperson of the Food Sovereignty Ghana Civil Society Group, which is actually against suggestions by the Minister of Agric to privatize the National Buffer Stock Management Company. My name is Stephen Anti, and this is Joynews Desk. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the studio. My name is Stephen Anti, and this is Joynews Desk. And like I said earlier, the Food Sovereignty Ghana Civil Society Group says that it's dismayed by suggestions from the Agric Minister of plans by government to privatize the National Food and Buffer Stock Management Company. I still have in the studio Duke Tego, who is Deputy Chairperson of the group. And Duke, let me come back to a critical issue you raised. You spoke about emergency food reserve system. What is that? I mean, why do we need such a system? I mean, in your suggestions, you're saying that these are some of the things that government can do: invest money in, keep the buffer stock management company, push money into emergency food reserve systems. Why do we need such a system?
Yeah. Humanity has been faced with many calamities over the years. Flooding has been one of them. Earthquakes has been one of them. Civil war has been one of them. And you can name them over and over again. It is important that we always put in place contingency measures so that anytime any of these happens, we'll be able to still keep people alive by providing them with some of the crucial things they need to survive. For instance, the creation of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company was meant to always make food readily available in times like this. What will happen if we sell this company? What will happen if we sell this company? Will we still be able to meet that demand or that necessity? We won't do that. We can't determine for the private investor how we should run that company as soon as we sell it. Number two, this company is creating jobs for our people. We understand that this company has employed a reasonable number of Ghanaians. Unemployment has become a bane of our society. We are still trying to create jobs for our people. The private sector has not been able to fulfill that.
Really?
Of course, yes.
The private sector is creating a lot of jobs.
How many jobs have they created over the past years?
Quite a number, really.
If you compare the number of unemployment or unemployed youth in our society, all right, compared to jobs that have been created over the past even 5-10 years, tell me that the private sector has really contributed much. They are playing a role, they are playing a part, but the job must not be left for them to do. The government must also take a part in this process by participating in also these initiatives of creating jobs for our people. It is necessary that it does so. So job creation is one reason why we set up this company. What will happen to all of the young men out there who are working for the National Food and Buffer Stock Company when it is sold out? They will be sacked. By all means, they will be sacked. Because the overall objective of the private man is to make profit. Government does not go into business just to make profit. It goes because, as Ghanaian, he's protecting us and ensuring that he's able to put us to work.
But that's the mentality that is killing us. I mean, if government goes into a business venture without putting profit as a motive, then it means that it's not going to do the best that is possible to be done to generate sufficient revenue and profit from a viable business, really.
Look at the production of water. You understand? Look at the critical role that water plays in the lives of humanity. If we were to put a certain value on the water we drink, do you think that we can really pay for them? You understand? So is all of the other, important commodities that we find expression in the life of human beings. If you are to put value on everything and say that for every economic activity we should make profit, I don't think that we can survive for 2 days. We can't survive for 2 days. It's important that some critical aspects of our societies are allowed a certain amount of, state intervention in order to ensure that the people are not left to the rigorous, objective of profit making, and thereby ensuring that if you don't have the money, then you don't have access to a particular commodity. That must stop. And that is the reason why we are raising alarm over the sale of this company. If this happens, we can actually assure you that there is going to be an increment in food. The price of food will rise with the sale of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company. If we sell this company, the price of food will rise because we will no longer be able to determine how much food will be sold on the market. As we stand now, when the price of food is rising, the company releases this food onto the market to stabilize them. But if we just leave them raw, that private individuals will take over and run it as they want, they're going to run it based on the motive of making profit. And when that happens, the people of Ghana will be subjected to untold hardship and suffering. Famine will come if we do this. We must prevent this from happening, no matter what it takes.
Well, thank you very much. Duke Tego believes that we must do all it takes to prevent famine from coming to Ghana. Let's take a watch at a story from the Food Sovereignty Group, which we run on this network.
According to Food Sovereignty Ghana, a change from National Food and Buffer Stock Company to a commodity exchange puts the Ghanaian farmer at a disadvantage. In direct questions to the Agric Minister and Parliament, the group asked if the intention is to, quote, create a whole new class of profiteering middlemen and gamblers, unquote. They indicated this will affect Ghana's food security and livelihood of farmers, whilst enriching a capable few who they described as gamblers. Food Sovereignty Ghana says putting the National Food and Buffer Stock in that position will hand over food supply to multinational agribusiness corporations and their foundations, who could control Ghana's farmers and agriculture more easily. They said the move will be a win-win proposition for gamblers and exploiters who have contributed to driving up food prices worldwide. The group said although the Minister of Food and Agriculture may be right about inadequate funds, they are advocating prioritization instead of completely refusing to fund the company.
This is Joynews Desk, and my name is Stephen Ante. I'm sitting in for Kemini. We'll be right back. Well, Welcome back. And elsewhere, visitors to Edumfe in the Asante Achim South say they plan to extend their stay till they get their share of water from the borehole, which is now the most prized asset in the community. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports samples of water have been taken for testing.
With a population of about 6,000, Adumfe's poverty levels are high. Residents say farming has not redeemed them from poverty, and the discovery of the healing water is therefore a miracle. The famous miracle borehole is believed to have many healing powers and has since been attracting hundreds of miracle-seeking people from far and near. They stream in every day in their numbers to get a share of it. Water from the borehole is unlike any other water, though it is also colorless. The water tastes salty and is not good for washing because it does not foam. But this does not deter people who previously regarded the borehole water as not good enough. They have hopes water from the borehole is a solution to their problem. Miracle seekers wait in long queues, buying the water at 10 Ghana cedis for visitors and 1 Ghana cedis for residents. The money, according to the unit committee chairman, is intended to be used in maintaining the mechanized borehole and provide bigger storage facility. The miracle water has created a booming business in the area. But who told the people of Adumfe about the healing powers of the borehole? Wilberforce Obenyan is a member of the Water Sanitation Committee in the community. He said testimonies of people healed after drinking the water established sufficient evidence that the borehole has healing powers. Sample of the water has already been taken by health officials of the Asante Achim South District Assembly and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology to test its medicinal properties. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report from the Ashanti region.
My name is Stephen Enti and this is Joynews Desk. What stories we've brought you? We looked at the issue of GridCo load management and the fact that GridCo is asking consumers to conserve energy. We also spoke extensively on the food security, food sovereignty group and their position that to privatize the buffer stock management company could be injurious to Ghana. And we also had the stories about the people of Edumfe who are saying that they will stay there until they get the fair share of the miracle water, which is in the borehole there. And a reporter reports that a sample of the water has been taken for testing. My name is Stephen Enti and this is all we have for you for Joynews Desk. Join us at 12 again for News Today.